Welcome to my channel. My name is Andrew Jacob Winley. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here for a while, thanks for sticking around. Today we are going to be looking at the new 21 Pilots song that came out last week, Choker. Welcome to the anthem for underachievers. But let's just get right into it, all right? All right, verse 1 says, I don't bother anyone, nervous when I stand, choking on the circumstance, only smoking secondhand. It seems like, when we are faced with this big moment, we only fall up short. This is seen a lot in sports analogies. Tyler, the lead singer and writer, came from a basketball background. So this can seem like a really obvious analogy for him. So he shoots the last second shot, he chokes and he misses. You can become so nervous that it affects your result, and not even just your result, but even in your pursuit, where you don't even become a wholehearted pursuer anymore. And ultimately you just sit idly by while others go and pursue it. And we can almost play that off as perfectionism. Pursuit of perfectionism breeds idle movement. And that's an interesting concept and something that I know I've truly felt in my own life. So he continues in verse 1 saying, cut us open, spread us out, dry us in the sand, lay the fibers side by side, and you'll begin to understand. So if you took a big group of people who all were underachievers, who all were chokers, then you would see there were similarities between everybody, that there is something in each of us that makes us the way that we are, and ultimately in this situation leads us to choke and underachieve and not do the best that we can. So he says in the chorus, I know it's over, I was born a choker, nobody's coming for me. It's said a lot that it's lonely at the top, like when we're talking about management or leadership. It's lonely at the top, there's no one else up there with you. But it almost can seem lonely at the bottom, and I think that's what Tyler's trying to say here, is it's lonely at the bottom. The people who are gifted and talented at what they do always seem to get the notice. Your response to being glossed over is either healthy or unhealthy. So in verse 2 he says, I don't bother anyone, never make demands, which seems to be very similar to in verse 1, keeping with that same narrative of very nervous, very passive. Choking on the circumstance, self-sabotage is a sweet romance. Holy smokes! When I first heard this song, that's the line that spoke to me, that really reached out to me the most. It was just like, bam, there it is. Self-sabotage is a sweet romance. I mean, what a line. There's this challenging realization when we do officially notice that we are chokers, that we fall up short time and time again, and really placing an identity in being a choker never allows ourselves the ability to grow. We are who we are, and that's all. So we can romanticize our own stagnation. There's another possibility to what this means, and I took this straight from the pop song professor, and he says that if someone can't succeed, maybe the one thing that they can succeed in is failing. And that kind of reminds me of another 21 Pilots song on Vessel called House of Gold, which the lyrics are, and since we know that dreams are dead and life turns plans upon their head, I will plan to be a bum so I just might become someone. It's kind of the flip side of that versus, I'll plan to be a bum, so therefore if things go different than what I intend, then I actually will do something with my life. So then he moves on and says, seems like all I'm worth is what I'm able to withstand. sooner I can realize that pain is just a middleman. And like pain happens in growth, right? I feel like this is the first time that there is any sense of hope in this song. Everything else was very deprecating and very dark, very heavy. This is the first sense of light, sense of hope in the song. It says, sooner I can realize that pain is just a middleman. I really feel like that, he's referencing that pain happens in growth. When you're lifting weights, the first few days that you're lifting, it is so painful because you literally are breaking your fibers in your body so then they can regrow stronger. And that's really what's happening. I mean, pain, it's tough, but it's not the final destination. It's just a middleman. It's just the in-between point between where you are and where you're going to be. It's tough growing, but it's so, so worth it. So the bridge, I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears. I'll sign on the line alone. It's not a steady growth of going from like one place that is self-deprecating and immediately go to positive thinking. This is kind of just like a slip back into that. At that first line says, I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears. It's back into this sense of loneliness, but he's not sticking in the loneliness. He's stepping up to the plate for the first time and saying, I'll sign on the line. I am responsible and I am taking ownership of myself. And then he continues and says, you're gonna change my circumstance. I know I need to move right now. Who is the you? Like, who is it? It's the one thing that I don't have any sense of in this entire song. In older albums, he has referenced God quite frequently. Is he talking about God here? You're gonna change my circumstance? Is it God? Is it his family? We don't know. It's baffling to me. So I have no clue what to say for that line. But then the next one, he says, I know I need to move right now. You ever have those things in your life that you feel like if you don't start them, you never will? He says, like, I need to move right now. Like you have those things in your life that if you don't act upon them now, you never will. So signing on the line is kind of that thing. There's this sense of strength and determination and motivation that seems outside of the norm for him in this circumstance. So sign on the line, do the thing. And then in verse 3, like a little splinter buried in your skin, someone else can carve it out, but when you've got the pin, it hurts a little less and you can even push it further in. The pop song professor references accountability here. He makes a reference to Tear in My Heart, which is a song off of 2015's Blurry Face by 21 Pilots. And he says that like someone can come along and help you in your growth and also like in your vulnerability. But Tyler contrasts that concept here with the concept that you yourself can take control and it might even hurt less if you make the changes yourself and you're not depending on anybody else for that growth. You can, with control, even like self-destruct yourself. Like you have that opportunity. You can push that splinter in, that pin further in. But again, like this was referenced earlier, you are growing and you are changing and you're getting stronger. Pain is just the middleman. So then this rap continues, like a silhouette that you can barely see, as a shadow cast upon the ground where you'll lay eventually, but the day goes on, the sun moves behind you, you get taller, bolder, stronger, and the rear view only blinds you. There's a parallel that Tyler's trying to say here, that the end of a day is referencing the day of the end of your life, and then the length of your shadow happens to coincide with the growth that you've made. As your life moves on and the day gets shorter, your shadow grows longer. So you continue to grow despite maybe not even knowing that you're growing. And you don't realize how much you truly have grown until you look behind you and you see how far you've come. This song is truly about growth, And what's, I think, interesting is that Tyler doesn't end the song on the chorus, which is pretty deprecating. Ending on the chorus is very common in pop music, but he decides not to do that here. It would be destroying all the growth that we've seen throughout the song, which I think was a brilliant tactic and a brilliant move on Tyler's point. There are just a few things that I want to end on is that just because you feel alone doesn't mean that you are. And you don't have to stay that way. Anyway, that's really it. It's a wonderful, great song. You need to go and listen to it. Go and subscribe to the Pop Song Professor. He does wonderful work. I'll link his information down below. Please stick around, leave a comment, leave a like, share, subscribe. It truly, truly, truly does help. My name is Andrew Jacob Winley. I'm posting content weekly. I'll see you next week, and soldier on.